দেখুন যায় আইসেন আইসেন Dear student, Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. This is not a scheduled class. There is a big gap between two classes, so I want to discuss about a very common topics with you. If you are get some information, that my tendency will be successful. Now I would like to discuss with you about chronic cholecystitis, a very important topics for your written examination, viva examination, also case. During the final professional examination, you may get any question from chronic cholecystitis, and your practical life you may get so many patients of chronic cholecystitis. Actually, chronic cholecystitis is a bread and butter for all surgeons. So, dear students, let's go about chronic cholecystitis. My name is Dr. Nurul Qayyum Muhammad Musallin. I am professor of surgery, Jalalabad Regular Medical College. Let's go about chronic cholecystitis. At first, before starting the class, we should know about the anatomy of gallbladder. You know, gallbladder is present at the undersurface of the liver. It is very small, pear-shaped structure, and the size is about 7.5 to 10 centimeter long, and breadth is about 3 to 4 centimeter, and its normal capacity is about 25 to 30 ml. But when it is obstructed, then the capacity is as large as 300 ml, and sometimes we may find a very large gallbladder during operation that may contain about 500 ml of infected bile or infected fluid. Now, how can we make different parts of gallbladder? We can divide the gallbladder into fundus, body, and neck, and the neck is finally ends in a small part that is called infundibulum. You know, the fundus is the white part of the gallbladder, and this has less blood supply. And when the gallbladder is widened due to obstruction in the neck, then compression of the blood vessel is more effective on the fundus due to lack of blood supply, and perforation may occur in fundus of the gallbladder. When we get a perforated gallbladder during operation, we think the perforation may occur most commonly in the fundus, then body, neck, and the infundibulum. So, what are the parts of gallbladder? You know, the fundus, the body, the neck, and the infundibulum. And at the infundibulum, there is a small pouch called Hartmann pouch. The Hartmann pouch is not anatomical pouch. When a small stone is impacted in the neck of the gallbladder, then it leads to a pouch is called Hartmann pouch. Now, artery supply of the gallbladder. You know, the artery supply of the gallbladder is from the cystic artery. The cystic artery, which arises from the right hepatic artery. Sometimes there may be an accessory cystic artery which arises from the gastroduodenal artery. Other than this, there are so many anomalies of the cystic artery. Cystic artery may arises from common hepatic artery. It may arises from the confluence of right and left hepatic artery. it may arises from the left hepatic artery, sometimes it may arise from the gastroduodenal artery, and even the cystic artery may arise directly from the abdominal aorta. Now we should know about the Calot's triangle. The Calot's triangle is a very important area for operation, either open or laparoscopic procedure. If you do not identify the Calot's triangle, it is very difficult to operate the patient. So every surgeon should know about the Calot's triangle, and every student, the future surgeon, you should know about the Calot's triangle. So Calot's triangle, it is bounded superiorly by the inferior border of the liver. Then it may bounded laterally by the medial border of the gallbladder and the cystic duct, and medially by the common hepatic duct. So you know the contents of the Calot's triangle normally is cystic artery. During operation, we should define the cystic artery within the Calot's triangle, but there are so many anomalies. Like this anomaly, this is called Moynihan humps. Sometimes the common hepatic artery or right hepatic artery make a dangerous turn at the Calot's triangle, and during operation we may think this is a cystic artery, and if you divide this right hepatic artery instead of the cystic artery, there may be some blood supply related anomalies or blood supply related complication to the right lobe of liver. So everybody should know about this dangerous turn or Moynihan humps. This is the most dangerous anomalies, where the hepatic artery takes a tortuous course on the front of the origin of the cystic duct. Hepatic artery may be damaged during operation of the gallbladder. So what are the anomalies of the Calot's triangle? You know, this is a normal Calot's triangle, and the only component of the Calot's triangle is cystic artery. But this is another anomalies where the common hepatic artery makes a dangerous turn in front of the cystic artery and cystic duct, and this may be injured during operation. If you want to see another anomalies, this is a right hepatic artery which makes a turn in the Calot's triangle, and if you think this is cystic artery, you may injure the cystic artery, and which leads to ischemia of the right lobe of the liver. So everyone should know the dangerous complications of the Calot's triangle about the turn of common hepatic artery or right hepatic artery. Now our most common condition is cholecystitis. You know what is cholecystitis? Cholecystitis has a simple definition. This inflammation of the gallbladder is called cholecystitis. Now what are the types of cholecystitis? We may divide the cholecystitis or classify the cholecystitis according to presence of stone or according to clinical features. According to presence of stone, the cholecystitis is calculous cholecystitis and acalculous cholecystitis. And according to the clinical condition, the cholecystitis may be classified as acute cholecystitis and chronic cholecystitis. So finally, the cholecystitis may be classified into 4 types, that is chronic calculous cholecystitis, acute calculous cholecystitis, chronic acalculous cholecystitis, and acute acalculous cholecystitis. Of those, the most common cholecystitis is chronic calculous cholecystitis. So our today's discussing point is chronic calculous cholecystitis. So what is chronic calculous cholecystitis? Chronic inflammation of the gallbladder due to presence of stone is called chronic cholecystitis. Now, how chronic cholecystitis occurs due to presence of stone? In this video, we want to show about the function of the stone or role of stone in development of chronic cholecystitis.
Right upper abdominal pain most commonly occur when gallstones temporarily block one of two ducts.
So this is the stone which may leads to irritation of the gallbladder lumen and leads to cholecystitis. Sometimes the small stone is impacted in the neck of the gallbladder, which leads to blockage of the duct and which may leads to inflammation and shrinkage of the gallbladder. So now what about the gallstone? The gallstone are the abnormal inorganic masses formed in the gallbladder, and sometimes it is formed within the common bile duct and hepatic duct. Now what are the types of gallstone? There are three types of gallstone: the cholesterol stone, the mixed stone, and the pigment stone. There are different chemical varieties. According to chemical varieties, they are classified. But due to causative factor, there are so different causative factor about the cholesterol stone, mixed stone, and also pigment stone. Now about cholesterol stone. The cholesterol stone, sometimes called cholesterol solitaries, and if you breaks the stone, there may be radiating crystalline appearance in the cholesterol, single cholesterol stone. There are also multiple cholesterol stone. In the United States and Europe, about 80% of the patient is suffer from cholesterol stone. But in our country, on the Asia, it is about only 6%. Now, what about the mixed stone? The mixed stone are more common in our countries and in the Indian subcontinent. It contains cholesterol, calcium, salt, phosphate, carbonate, palmitate, and protein. And there are multiple and multifaceted. And now what about mixed stone, pigment stone? The pigment stone is name used to stone containing less than 30% of the cholesterol, but it contains different types of pigment. There are two types of pigment stone. One is black pigment stone and another is brown pigment stone. The black pigment stone. The black pigment stone is about 20 to 30% of the stone is black pigment stone. They are associated with hemolysis, usually hereditary spherocytosis or sickle cell disease. Sometimes it is most common in the younger patient. If you find gallbladder stone in a very younger patient, you should investigate about whether the patient has a chronic hemolytic disorder or not. And now brown pigment stone. The brown pigment stone contain calcium bilirubinate, calcium palmitate, and calcium stearate, and these are usually found within the bile duct, and they are usually related with the bile stasis, infected bile, and foreign bodies. Now, what are the effect and complications of gallstone? You know, the gallbladder stone is most commonly situated in the gallbladder, and what are the complications of the stone within the gallbladder? They are biliary colic, they are acute cholecystitis, chronic cholecystitis, the mucocele of the gallbladder, empyema of the gallbladder, perforated gallbladder, gangrenous gallbladder, and finally carcinoma of the gallbladder. If a stone is present a very long time within the gallbladder, which may leads to carcinoma of the gallbladder. And what are the effects of the stone within the biliary tree? You know, the stone may obstruct the biliary tree and leads to obstructive jaundice, and it may also leads to chronic acute cholangitis. And finally, due to prolonged irritation, it may leads to cholangiocarcinoma. And on pancreas, it may leads to acute pancreatitis and also chronic pancreatitis. On intestine, the gallbladder stone may cause intestinal obstruction. There is called gallstone ileus. But you should know, if a stone is passes from the gallbladder through cystic duct and common bile duct, and which is entering within the intestine, this stone may not leads to intestinal obstruction. For development of intestinal obstruction, a large stone may be entering within the intestine through cholecystointestinal fistula. Now, what are the clinical features of our today's discussing subject is chronic cholecystitis. The colicky pain in the upper quadrant or epigastrium, which may radiates to the back and sometimes referred to the tip of the right shoulder, and may associated with nausea and vomiting. And the pain is usually severe and may be last for minutes or even several hours. Dysphagia, flatulence, and fatty food intolerance is another common features of chronic cholecystitis. Now on examination, what are the findings during examination? During examination, we may found a mild tenderness in the right hypochondrium, but Murphy's sign is usually negative in chronic cholecystitis. And now, what are the differential diagnoses of chronic cholecystitis? The very common differential diagnosis is chronic peptic ulcer, then chronic pancreatitis, then right renal stone, and finally irritable bowel disease and gastroesophageal reflux diseases. And sometimes the musculoskeletal disorder makes the sign symptoms like chronic cholecystitis. And what are the investigation? The investigation of choice is ultrasonography of the hepatobiliary system and pancreas. This is very important investigation. In this investigation, the gallbladder lumen contains single or multiple echogenic structure which casting posterior acoustic shadow. And what are the other investigation? The liver function test is the very important other associated investigations for chronic cholecystitis. So we should work out about serum bilirubin, serum ALT, serum alkaline phosphatase, and the prothrombin time. And for exclusion of the differential diagnosis, endoscopy of the upper GIT to exclude the chronic peptic ulcer disease, pain X-ray of the abdomen to exclude the stone in pancreas or in the right kidney. And for general preparation for full blood count, renal profile, random blood sugar level, chest X-ray, and ECG if the patient is more than 45 years. And now the treatment. Treatment is the operative treatment. There are two types of operative treatment: the open cholecystectomy and the laparoscopic cholecystectomy. And when two option, you should find about which option is the gold standard option. So for laparoscopic cholecystectomy is the gold standard method of cholecystectomy. Why it is gold standard? It is gold standard because it is less invasive, it has less scar mark, it needs short hospital stay and early recovery and early return to work, and avoiding large scar related complications. Now open cholecystectomy. The open cholecystectomy is done by a commonly Coker's incision and also upper right transverse incision. Now we are discussing about the short procedure. After entering within the abdominal cavity, dissection and identification of the cystic duct and cystic artery, and ligation and dividing the cystic duct and cystic artery, and finally dissection of the gallbladder from the liver. So this is open cholecystectomy. And now the laparoscopic cholecystectomy. We need 4 ports for conducting the laparoscopic cholecystectomy. The 4 ports are 10 millimeter port. This is first port of umbilical port, and these ports allow at first the pneumoperitoneum, then finally the introduction of the camera and laparoscope. Then the 10 millimeter port, another port in the epigastrium, and we need 5 millimeter ports in the right lumbar region and another 5 millimeter ports in the right hypochondriac region. And the procedure is like open procedure: identification and dissection of the cystic duct and cystic artery, and the clipping and dividing the cystic duct and cystic artery, and finally the dissection of the gallbladder from the liver and extraction of the gallbladder from the abdominal cavity. So this is the video about laparoscopic cholecystectomy.
Laparoscopic techniques require only keyhole incisions, and the recovery period is much shorter. Your gallbladder and surrounding structures, your surgeon will use sharp instruments called trocars to create a series of small holes or ports through your abdominal wall. One of these ports is usually located at the navel or umbilicus. Carbon dioxide gas is then pumped through the umbilical port to pump up your abdomen so its contents can be viewed more easily.
So this is pneumoperitoneum, and finally entering the laparoscope within the abdominal cavity, and we find the cystic duct and cystic artery. After clipping and ligating cystic duct and cystic artery, finally we should dissect the gallbladder from the liver, and finally we extract the gallbladder through the port. And this is the final view after removal of the gallbladder.
When the laparoscope is removed,
and there are so many advanced procedure for removal of the gallbladder, like knots. Knots means natural orifice transluminal endoscopic surgery. By this procedure, we may remove the gallbladder through oral cavity, through vaginal cavity, or through rectum. So there is no scar mark after removal of the gallbladder. An operation performed through oral orifice or rectal orifice or vaginal orifice. Using this special instrument, after the removal of the gallbladder, it is scarless operation. Then robotic cholecystectomy. Robotic cholecystectomy, it is the latest invention of the laparoscopic or open surgery. By this, the surgeon works on a robotic console, and he is separated from the patient, and robotic arm perform the laparoscopic cholecystectomy. So thank you, dear student. This is an extra class up to the waiting for the next class, and we will appears to you with our scheduled class in the next day. Thank you all.